After 5 decades of war and over 2 million deaths, this is South Sudan, the world's newest country.
I feel jubilant that what we have fought for over the years has eventually materialized.
We have the land, we have the resources, we have the people.
The new country that will be born will have people who will be thinking of equality, justice, and good governance.
But despite that outward optimism, it's already clear that things are far from well.
As Southern Sudanese, we didn't expect to turn against each other and kill each other.
Innocent people being killed, being burned, being shot like dogs.
All around South Sudan, they're coming home. Displaced by civil war, they're returning from exile in neighboring countries like Uganda, Kenya, and Ethiopia. 1 million alone will arrive from northern Sudan. And they all have one thing in common: hope for the future in their own newly independent country. In a large canvas tent on the outskirts of the southern capital, Juba, lies the history of South Sudan. Thousands of decaying documents, photographs, and even paintings lie waiting to be sifted through one by one to provide the people of the South with a record of their struggle for independence. Many of these documents feature a name now firmly established in the memories of the southern Sudanese people. Joseph Lagu, one of the South's most famous rebel leaders and the man who led the first major rebellion against northern rule.
You now have a new country. Was it worth it?
Well, we have fought for it over the years, and it is worth it, yes. And our people are very jubilant now. They are happy that we have a state of our own.
A respected veteran and now a presidential advisor, he knows that difficulties lie ahead.
There is no state in the world that has no problems. And we are aware that we have some domestic problems which are available, which are there in any country, and we will manage them.
Former child soldier Lam Tungwar believes the sacrifices he and others made were worth it.
I'm expecting and I'm looking at a very bright country with a lot of things in place possible. But I'm hoping that there will be a great democracy. Southern Sudan will go ahead and they will have a good government.
But others like teacher Aban Raphael are worried that South Sudan is in danger of descending into a new period of conflict.
The future is rather dark, because most of the people, even the northerners, predicted that when South will be independent, when they are alone, they will fight among them.
For the people of South Sudan, independence from the north was their goal, nothing else. And 98% voted to create this new country. But as time passes, many who have returned from exile, like Jok Madut Jok, recognize the seriousness and scale of the task ahead.
Our country as it stands today is a four-legged animal, but the legs are broken. The first leg for any government is a disciplined military. We have problems with the way our military functions today. That's a broken leg. We have civil society. Right now, it's very weak, It's focused on service delivery. It's not an advocacy-driven civil society. The third leg is delivery of services. It's hard to deliver security. It's hard to deliver schools and healthcare and markets and free enterprise. It's very difficult. So that leg is not functioning either, fully. The fourth is political unity. We had political unity in the days leading up to the referendum. Since the referendum and since the vote overwhelmingly in favor of independence, we've been having difficulties uniting our ranks. That is a problem. So right now, the animal is standing on four crooked legs. If we don't fix these legs, the future is going to be very, very difficult.
Many Southerners blame the Khartoum government in the north for undermining its transition to independence, spending the bulk of revenues from resources such as oil on developing its capital, Khartoum, into a modern metropolis. Half a century of almost zero investment has left the southern infrastructure in a hopeless state. It shouldn't have been this way, as most of Sudan's lucrative oil fields are situated in the south, but the pipelines run north. One of the most powerful figures in Khartoum believes the south will struggle as an independent state.
You know, this is a country that's going to be plagued with so many problems. It's going to be landlocked under the mercy of northern Sudan, mainly for the export of oil. There is so much hostility between the components of the population. And there's the factor of inexperience, the lack of infrastructure, and the lack of state structure.
But it's the military threat from the north which, for many, poses the greatest obstacle to southern development. And nowhere does that manifest itself more clearly than in the disputed region of Abyei.
Abyei, for the north, is a pawn on a chess table. In the south, it's a matter of life or death for people who live there.
Abyei lies on the border between north and south. Largely populated by southern Dinka Nok tribespeople, it is also a passageway for northern Miseria nomads to drive their cattle to pasture, and who often carry automatic weapons, which they say is to protect their herds. But there have been many cases of attacks on the local Dinka population.
The South is demanding that the whole territory called Abyei should be the preserve of the Dinka. They wouldn't allow a single person from the Miseria to enter that region. The North adopts the position that this should be for both the Miseria and the Dinka.
In May 2011, in a move they say was provoked by an attack on one of their convoys, the Northern Army, supported by tanks and helicopter gunships, attacked and took control of the region. Over 100,000 Dinka Nok fled south. At the same time, the government in Khartoum was accused of encouraging Miseria tribesmen to head towards Abyei in what many feared was an exercise in ethnic cleansing.
That area become a battlefield. It will be the people in the area, both the Dinka Nok and the Miseria, that unfortunately will pay for it.
For the northerners, it's a piece of land. It's nothing to do with people. So they are not interested in people, they are interested in the land. For us, we are interested in the people, but Abyei is a southern land, has always been, it will always be. If it is the single thing that we are going to go back to war over, make no mistake about it.
Although the North agreed to pull out after negotiations, should war reignite as many expect, Khartoum believes the South will be no match for their forces.
In order to maintain a war for a long time, you need resources. And I don't think they have the resources. And then in order to wage a long-term war, I think you need internal cohesion. And they lack internal cohesion.
Abyei belongs to the South, and it is hoped that Khartoum will come to its senses and give Abyei back to the South.
The prospect of another North-South war would bring devastation to the southern people who were just beginning to believe that a return to normal life could be possible. But a frightening legacy, hidden beneath the ground, makes that a distant dream for many. It's estimated that more than 2 million unexploded landmines were left from the 22-year civil war. As the refugees of that war return to their homes, they desperately need land for growing food.
We have a very big challenge. Our people were intend to come back, and we are trying to reclaim back the lands from contamination to a civil use. We thought maybe we can get rid of all mines in Southern Sudan, but they take a lot of time, and this is what it is, a time-consuming, the demining work. We know it is a dangerous job, but if you are still alive, we want to free other people from the danger, the innocent people.
More often than not, it's the children who are the victims.
Ma hupu doni kara huden beskulu ngela anytime kuluka boya ku medise se la karanga ma domu di biro niki duga ku ndiku kulunyo sumanga nyana ma pu doni de kasiko ke.
When the war with the North ended in 2005, many believed that at last, the 9 million people of South Sudan could live in peace. But that dream has been shattered. The fact is that the South is already at war with itself. In 9 out of 10 states across the South, ethnic and tribal conflict threatens to push the world's newest nation towards chaos. Militias who accuse the Juba government of fixing elections are now attacking the Southern Army, the SPLA. The rebel leaders accuse the government of favoring the Dinka majority and blocking minorities from power.
People are running around right now. Injuries, hospital is filled up with guys who are shot and dead people already buried and all that.
With over 40 different tribes in South Sudan, conflict is nothing new.
You have a society that has known war for a long time, whose legacy is widespread of firearms. It's become a fertile ground for such conflicts.
Everywhere. Bentiu, Rumbek, Bolo, Umbolo, and everywhere there is killing.
Is there a fear that intertribal violence will break even the South apart?
Maybe, maybe.
We first met Aban Raphael in the border town of Malakal, as he described how during the war with the North, he and his family hid from northern attacks.
The one image I remember so much is of you and your wife sitting by the bed you would hide under when the trouble happened. And now it happened again.
It happened 3 times. People have to hide under the beds again. You have to wait for the bullet which is coming to you under the bed. Even there was somebody who was found under the bed and then bullet hit him and died. So anywhere, it is not a safe place to hide when there is shooting. But you try to protect. If it reaches you there, it is your day has come, okay.
Near Aban's home, the hospital is overwhelmed with victims from a battle between the SPLA and militias made up mainly of local Shilluk and Nuer tribesmen. A fight between Southerner and Southerner.
What happened to these children?
These children, they have got the gunshot. They have wounded due to the gunshot. And the incident that occurred in the area called Kaldak, South Malakal, 3-4 days ago.
How many victims have you brought into the hospital so far?
Besides some soldiers that have been brought wounded, the total number was 120 something.
What happened to you?
Among the civilian victims at Malakal Hospital, we find rebel soldiers and officers. They blame the Dinka-dominated SPLA for the bloodshed. For Aban Raphael, war with the Arab North was easier to understand.
During the war, you know this is my enemy. But now, you don't know who is your enemy. Because you're a tribe man or a southerner like you, consider you more than Arab. You are more enemy than Arab.
Members of the Khartoum Club in the northern capital had predicted this.
They don't have the infrastructure to form a government. And there is trouble between the tribes in the south. They will go into war.
You know, the biggest tribe in all the world is the Dinka tribe. The Dinka tribe want to rule all the tribes. If they give the other tribes a chance, then there will be a possibility of a viable state. Because in this country, they are very nice people. They have got very natural resources. But how can you blend them together?
Prior to the referendum on independence in January 2011, peace between rival factions appeared to have been achieved. But in the 6 months following, almost 1,500 people died. Thousands more were injured, and up to 200,000 fled their homes as violence raged across the southern states. One of the main rebel leaders, a former SPLA general himself, is this man, Peter Gadet, whose forces have attacked key towns in oil-rich Unity State.
I don't think the people are with him. He has no right, no cause to take up arms now. The government can be changed by the ballot box.
But he claims the ballot box was adulterated.
Wait for another. The elections are done periodically. If you lose one, you don't have to take to arms. Wait for another.
Current SPLA leaders attempt to dismiss the rebels as irrelevant.
Tawali an beno nas kadede da haja basit ana beno man ana beshupo de nas mumkin ya neno ay kalal bata da gayak bas ana mumkin ya nyak chakal mo.
That bravado does not reflect reality. The rebellion is in fact growing, and Gadet has publicly accused the SPLA of recruiting child soldiers to fight against him, although the army denies this. The use of children in combat brings back horrific memories for many. Musician Lam Tungwar suffered as a child soldier himself in the last civil war.
How long shall we be away from our now, as our hope and dreams seem promising for a while? After peace agreement, just a mile.
As a child, I thought having a gun is a game. I have a real gun right now, and I can do whatever I want, and I will be a man, and you know, I will shoot somebody, I'll do this and that. It was exciting in the first move of having a gun. The worst moment I faced was the time the Dima refugee camp was attacked by the rebel group. The time people were chased to the river, and people have to just jump in the river with their babies and die. I've seen one man who cannot carry his 3 children because who will he take to the other side of the river? Does he swim? So he commits suicide by shooting themselves, and they are dead because the enemy is right here.
Lam spoke with relatives in Unity State. He says they confirmed that child soldiers had been recruited.
I'm really feeling bitter about it, and I've managed to talk to a few people in Bantu concerning the same issue. Children going to war again and, you know, having to hold guns. Very bad.
And in another reversal, Southerners are laying mines once again. This time, against their own people.
So it's very, very, very upsetting, and I'm not happy when I hear that that history of mines have been replanted again in Jonglei and Upper Nile and Unity State. Yeah.
It's not the time of fighting. It is a time of how to prepare ourselves for development, because South Sudan has been in a problem for more than 50-something years, and because we have been fought for the freedom, and we got it. In the same time, I ask my people to pray. Those who have been in problem, those who love peace, they have to pray.
The internal conflict is just one of a growing number of crises facing the new nation. Corruption is already endemic.
Money go to individual pockets, and so that's why you see some people are rich.
You could be afraid of, you know, losing your life.
Press freedom under threat.
They came back on the third day and arrested me.
Refugees from war being forced from their homes by their own government. And even foreign raiding parties, which cross the border to kidnap and kill indiscriminately.
They just appear of a sudden and then start butchering these people.